you, and maybe morning or afternoon for some others of you, but we're really happy to have you here. My name is MJ Shores. I work with Personal MBA Coach. We provide MBA admissions consulting to prospective students. We also do GMAT, GRE, and EA preparation. We've been in existence since 2008. Our founder, Scott Edinburgh, is a Wharton MBA grad, and we have a placement rate of 96% of our people we work with at top schools. So we have with us today, I'm really excited, we have 3 different students from Rotman and ISB who are here to talk to you a little bit about the MBA admissions process, about their individual schools. So if you have questions, put them in the comments section and I will be monitoring them so we can get your questions answered, and we certainly have other questions we can come up with on our own. So why don't we begin with you all giving a brief introduction of yourself? Kavya, why don't you go first?
Sure. Can you hear me right?
Yes.
Hi, I'm a chartered accountant from India. I started my career in audit and financial accounting, and then I wanted to move to a strategic kind of role, explore the different options, and I wanted to live abroad, which is why I came to Canada to do my MBA at Rotman. Here, I'm looking to pivot into consulting, and I did my internship in consulting as well.
Thank you. Shivani, how about you?
Hi everyone. I'm Shivani. I am from Mumbai, India, and I come from a commerce background. I have around 2 years and 9 months of experience, so I'm coming from a sales tech background. And post ISB, I'm looking to get into a retail brand, predominantly FMCG or for marketing. So that's my career aspiration.
Wonderful. Sushmita.
Hello, people. Hope you're doing good today. So I'm actually from an engineering background. I did my engineering from Manipal University, which is in Manipal. And then I moved to Bangalore to work as a business analyst for a company called Amadeus, which is in the airline IT side of things. So essentially, I used to work for customers like Air Canada, Southwest Airlines, Japan Airlines. So you name it, any airline that is there, they used to use our reservation system. And I used to work as a business analyst for that. So I'd already reached the level of expertise in my team, in my division, and I needed a step forward, and an MBA was that for me. And that's when ISB came into the picture, and here we are today.
Wonderful. So one of the questions people have is, with all the choices out there of MBA programs, how did you figure out which school was, or which schools were the ones that were of the greatest interest to you? How about you, Shivani?
Sure. So, a little background. I am because I'm fairly young, so it was my choice of MBA did not really was restricted to the number of years MBA was, because in India we also have 2-year programs. ISB is the only program in India that offers a 1-year program. So my entire choice of ISB was based on the diversity it offered, and also the selection criteria, because the way ISB selects its, students, it's based on the entire holistic application, which kind of also comes into picture when you are meeting these your colleagues, basically the other students. A lot of diversity comes into the picture. So that was something that I wanted to learn, because I'm coming from a very sales tech background with limited years of experience. I wanted to learn more from my peers on campus. So that was my main motive behind going with ISB.
Wonderful. How about you, Kavya?
So there are 3 reasons why I chose Rotman. It started with, one, I wanted to live in a country and I wanted to choose the college which is the top in that country. So I shortlisted 2 countries which would give me an opportunity to live there even after my MBA, which is why I shortlisted those 2 countries and then selected that the top countries are the ones I'll be applying to. The second reason would be that the brand. For me, the brand or the association with an university which is very well reputed was important. And University of Toronto is well known in the market, not just in Canada, but mostly in entire of North America. The third thing, as Shivani mentioned, was the diversity component. I wanted to be in a situation where I could take different perspectives from people from different cultural and professional backgrounds, which is what Rotman offered me. not just in terms of diversity in terms of the cohort, it was also diversity in terms of the courses that were offered. At Rotman, there are really unique courses that interested me, such as doing some experiential courses or doing some independent study projects, and that is why I chose Rotman.
Wonderful. Well, it's your turn, Shusmita.
So I'm just thinking about the point to add on top of Shivani's, because more or less it was the same. But just to round it off, I think ISB has a very unique selection process. In fact, when you're being interviewed or even the applications that are read, it's by alumni and academic people who have been doing this for a very long time, and they look for really well-rounded, diverse individuals. That being said, just because you don't have a good GMAT doesn't mean you can't get into a school like ISB, as long as you have an amazing profile and you've done a lot of leadership things. And that's something that really intrigued me, because a lot of schools have a certain cutoff for GMAT. Although ISB has a median, you cannot say that just because, say, you have a 650, that may be an ordinary score and you can't get into a top school. And then on top of that, it really plays well into my short-term and long-term goals. I explained earlier how I wanted the next step in my career. So just to add on to that, one of the top recruitment from ISB happens in the consulting field. And that's where I want to go into the tech consulting side of things. And the second biggest is, well, product management. That's, again, my backup plan as well. So it really just plays really well into my ambitions, and the school as a whole is amazing, and that's why I wanted to go here.
Wonderful. Well, it sounds like you're having a great experience. So what would you say, since you're so excited about it, Shusmita, what would you say are some of the greatest things that you've been learning or have learned in your MBA program?
So we all know the pandemic situation that we're in, and right at the start of the course, which is around April usually in the normal timelines, ISB was supposed to start, but it didn't. And for 2 months, for 3 months, we were really panicking about how this is all going to play out, because it's just a 1-year course, and if we're going to do the entire thing online, will the experience be the same as how it would have been otherwise? So all this was playing in all of our heads. I'm sure it played in Shivani's head as well. So that being said, I still had complete faith in the ISB community to pull through, and they really did. So even though we had 3 months of an online experience, the critical months where you're going to meet everybody, you're going to network, you're going to make friendships that'll probably last you a very long time, we were doing it all online, and we were doing it on Zoom and other platforms like Teams. Even so, all of us made it work. That's the resilience of the ISB community, the students, and I think that's what gets me excited every single day, because even in this circumstance, we're trying to find what works for us. We're trying to look at the advantages of doing it on an online platform. It could be because maybe we can redo our recorded lectures, go back and see the small things we missed in class. And they're even saying that, the grades that they're seeing this year are one of the highest they've ever seen. So a lot of positives has come out even in a situation like this, and I completely credit to the ISB community to pull through.
That's great. And I think you addressed a question that many people are asking, right? People are a little anxious about what it means working remotely and stuff. So it's great for them to hear from you, because if they hear it from, the schools, they're thinking the schools are just giving marketing hype, right? Coming into an MBA program, Kavya, what has surprised you the most?
What surprised me the most was the open-mindedness of people. So when I came here, I wanted to pivot into consulting from an accounting background, and I was very hesitant about whether I'll be able to do it. But when I came here, I saw people pivoting from one industry, one function to another, and that just told me that the market is very open-minded. They look at the transferable skills that you get to the table, or what is it that you bring to the table, than what you've worked before. And that was something that surprised me, and I was happy about it.
Oh, that's great. So one of the reasons people go to MBA programs is because they want to get some leadership experience. Shivani, can you tell us anything about your experiences with leadership opportunities in your MBA program?
That's actually a very nice question that you've asked me, because I am a lot into extracurriculars here. So even in ISB, I chose to apply for the student council basically. So I got into this council called Marketing and Communications. So ISB offers a lot of extracurricular activities. That we have various clubs, we have professional clubs, social clubs. There's something for everyone's, and there is also something called special interest groups that ISB offers. So if there is something that you are interested in, and there are a lot of people that you can bring in, you can actually pitch it to the councils, and they can get that group started for you for that year. So in terms of leadership, there are numerous opportunities, and like I mentioned before, because I am fairly young as compared to what an average MBA student is, so I really wanted to get my hands on good leadership opportunities, get something, get good experience, so that post ISB I am not lacking behind, and that is what ISB is bridging the gap for.
Okay. So one of the questions people also have right now is, given some of the economic disruption that has occurred around the world, right, with the virus, is how are opportunities looking for you in terms of either internships or jobs post-graduation? How about you, Shusmitha?
ISB doesn't really have the whole internship concept because it's a one-year program and we just directly jump into placements at the end of it. But we do have something called experiential learning programs, which is 4 to 5 month, one credit thing that a project that you do with a company. So just to answer your question, right? Let's go back a year when the class of 2020 was graduating. So at least in India, because of the economy receding very poorly, the job market was supposed to be really bad. People weren't supposed to get jobs, and this was even before the pandemic. We're not even coming into the pandemic yet. And all the MBA schools, the public and the private ones here, they did not have a very good placement year, but ISB did. We had one of our best years. So yes, and that is one of the things we can say. Again, it ties back to the resilience of the ISB community. I think they really leveraged the alumni network, which is really strong here, and they were able to again pull through. Just to quote myself again. So coming to this year, the placement team has been making a lot of effort. They're trying to pull in a lot of companies to give talks. We have talks from different companies, almost like leadership talks, almost every other day. And this is so that, they understand that the students are engaged, the students are interested to come into the job market. So they're really pulling all the stops too. And we've already had interest from the top companies which were going to come anyway. I can't reveal the names, but just we are not too worried about the placement season because we know at the end of it, we'll be able to get a really good job, if not a great one. And even if we don't, the ISB brand will pull us through the years, and it's only going to be a temporary setback, if at all there's any.
Well, thank you. You're very inspiring and encouraging. So what has your experience been, Kavya?
So I can talk about both my experiences, internship recruitment and full-time recruitment. So while my internship recruitment was physical, like it was in person, so I know that how case interviews happen because I was applying for consulting interviews. It was like I could see how case interviews happen in person. Then my internship went virtual, and I was really scared of what would happen for my full-time recruitment. But you'll be surprised to know that I honestly enjoyed my full-time recruitment experience. The case interviews were conducted so smoothly and seamlessly, even in the virtual background. Like in a physical case interview, you generally write and show it to the interviewer. Here, it's like you would use a whiteboard. You could use your creativity and be like, hey, this is the whiteboard that I have. Or, hey, this is how I'm going to present it to you. So I think we all learned a lot there on how to adapt to the new normal. And honestly speaking, all the companies, all the good ones, the best ones that came for my internship recruitment, which was in person, also came for the full-time recruitment. So that just shows that companies still need people. They still need the great minds in the MBA program. MBA business is not going anywhere. Students should enroll for this program, should be looking forward and have aspirations that, okay, this is the company or this is the industry I want to go to, because that's not wrong and that's not going to change just because COVID has come. We all are adapting to this, and I'm sure things will be, if not better, at least the same in the future.
You're also inspiring. And I think that you guys are showing what typically happens in an economic downturn. A lot of people go to MBA programs because things do get better. And if you look at the employment trends, people get really nervous, but there are a lot of areas that are booming and growing, and sort of just a realignment, right, in terms of the opportunities out there. So if you think back through your application process and to where you are now, and knowing what you know about the MBA program, what kind of advice would you have to your younger self before you applied, or to an applicant now looking to apply? What kind of advice would you give them? Shivani.
My main advice would be the essays basically on your application. That is something that I spent a lot of time on, and that is something that is still sticking with me throughout my MBA journey. So whatever I wrote in my essays, whether it was my long-term career aspirations or what I wanted to do in ISB, that is something that I'm actually doing right now. It was like a strategized plan that I had, and that's what I'm doing in my entire year at ISB. So especially because there is only 1 year at ISB, you need to understand how to make the best out of it. You need to know what to do, what to spend your time on. There will be trade-offs, obviously, if you're going for some extracurriculars, if you're going for some case comps, there will be some trade-offs. But you need to understand what suits your profile the best, what will add value to your application post ISB as well. Because MBA will just be an addition to your resume. That's what people think. But eventually, it changes you as a person as well, because there are so many things that you learn throughout your MBA journey, how to stay alone, how to tackle so many case comps, so many assignments, so many exams at the same time. It is an experience in itself. So for people who think that it's just to add another point, another slide point, that this is what I did in my MBA journey and this is where I want to go, it's not just limited to that. So spend time on building your essays. Think about why you exactly want to do an MBA. It cannot be just, okay, I'm done with my undergrad, let's just get into an MBA because I need a good job. It's not limited to that at all.
Wonderful. Sushmita, I see you shaking your head in agreement. What do you have to say?
I mean, I completely agree with everything she said, because that's what we're seeing right now. So at ISB, you have a plethora of opportunities to do anything from, say, something really technical in a professional club, whether it's a business technology club or the consulting club, or something in the social sector, like, the Net Impact Club and their initiatives. So you have a lot of opportunities even outside your regular coursework. And if you don't really know what you want to be doing and what you want to achieve out of this MBA, it's very easy to lose track in here, because there's so many things happening all the time. It really helps to have that vision. And that being said, this is something that the people evaluating your application will also look for. Your essays are a major component of your application, and the people who are actually reading through these essays, they look for whether you have the clarity of goal, whether you know what you want to be getting out of this MBA. Because sometimes we do see applicants where they don't really need an MBA. They're already doing really well on their own, and they're just applying and they don't really have clarity on why they want to get the MBA. So that really does matter once you get in, because you understand that there is no time to do anything else apart from what you set out to do. So I think that will be the biggest takeaway that I would emphasize on more if I had to go back in my application. Although I did cover it, I could have refined it a bit more, in hindsight.
Wonderful. Kavya, what advice would you have to people?
So my perspective is a little different, probably because I'm in a 2-year MBA program. So when it comes to Rotman applications, the applications are not on long-term aspirations or what are your goals. It's mostly on what are your spike factors. What is unique about you? What are the 3 unique things that you've done outside of work? This got me thinking that when I moved to my MBA, like when I wrote my application, I was focusing on, this is what I can bring to the table. This is what I have done in my life. I've done extracurricular activities or something like that. But when I came to my MBA and I met my cohort, I was like, now I know why Rotman asked for these spike factors. Every person in the cohort was very different. They had a journey of their own. everybody was, they did not have the clarity of what they might do post MBA, but they all knew that they were on a journey to explore what is it that they are best suited for, or what is their calling. So that is something which is different about the Rotman MBA compared to the other ones, because we bring the best, we bring our skills to the table. We see where we are a fit, not in terms of just competency, but in terms of the culture fit, or in terms of what is your calling, so, or finding your passion. So that is a little different for the Rotman, and which is why I give an advice to the applicants: be yourself, know what is it that you want from your MBA. For example, what I wanted to do was to find my calling, find what is it that I want to do in the future. So just be yourself, be genuine, see what is it that you have, what are the best skills that you have, how you can contribute to a new cohort, to a new country, or to a new business school, and then see how your journey progresses. It's just your journey. You need not compare it to anyone else. There'll be people coming saying that I want to do consulting, I want to do finance, but you figure out what is it for you.
Wonderful. That's great advice from all of you. Some of the people on here, I'm sure, will be curious about your individual school. So if you were to give like just 3 adjectives that would describe your schools, and Shivani and Sushmitra, you have to come up with different adjectives. What adjectives? So I'll give you a little bit of time to think about that. So what 3 adjectives would you use for Rotman, Kavya?
So the first one would be unique, because I actually saw that every person in the 300 people that we have, every person is unique, every person is different. Second is open-mindedness, because I realized that everyone is very open-minded, the market is open-minded, and that opened up my mind to different perspectives. Where I used to generally go in just one direction, now I can think of multiple options or multiple alternatives. Third, I would say, is exciting. Rotman is definitely exciting, because every day you meet different people, you have a different challenge, not just in terms of your MBA, but also in terms of your winter. So yes, it's exciting overall.
Wonderful. So who wants to be up next?
Done. I'll
Okay.
go.
Uh-oh, that means somebody else is going to have to be quick if you have the same ones.
I'm hoping Sushmita go for it later if you want. All right. So I think first would be resilient. ISB is very resilient. Second, transparent. Oh, ISB, the faculty, everyone in the team, they are with us throughout. They tell us what's going on. There is no hidden things happening in the background, and that is something that's stayed with us throughout this entire journey, especially during such a pandemic stage. And fourth is, third is diversity or diverse.
Wonderful. Do you have anything to add, or you can certainly agree with some of those too? I don't make it that difficult.
I think it's an overlap between them, honestly. For me, the way I see ISB, the 3 different attributes they look for is, what is the X factor that you bring into the school, in terms of what you have done. There are lots of people here who have different roles, and we're really trying to look for people who have done something exceptional in that same field, not just going by the regular growth and opportunities that everyone would get, but what else have you done? What is your X factor, and why would you think that will bring a value add to the school? So that's something that I think is one word. Then perseverance, because it takes a lot to finish this MBA in one piece. We just finished our final exam today for one of the 3 subjects that we're doing this term, and it has been so hard. So you really need to be somebody who can persevere through all of it, because the academics are rigorous. Everything else is going to take up your time, your energy, your mental space. You need to be able to keep up with it. So if you need, go on a vacation before you do an MBA, relax, come here, put in your best foot forward, and it will take you places. So that's one. I think the last one, this is really hard for me because everyone's taken all the good ones. I think it would be how to be a team player, honestly. I know we all work in organizations or have worked in organizations where you had to work in groups, but then setting all that in a very business context, a very professional context where you're moving from how you work as an employee to somebody in a leadership role. So that bridge from being just a team player to being a team player who gets work done, I think that's something that stands out for me as well.
Wonderful. So what kind of opportunities exist outside of the class, outside of your formal classes? And it may be a little more complicated now with remote learning, but what kind of opportunities are there for you to give back to the community?
Okay. So other than just academics, you have all these different professional clubs. Depending on your interest, I think I mentioned earlier, if you're into consulting, you can get into the consulting club, and they literally have like a rigorous set of activities to do throughout the year to get you prepared for that consulting role. It could be the business technology club if you are, say, a product management or a project management or something in business technology that you're aspiring to do. There are so many of these clubs. Honestly, I'm just naming the big ones. So the marketing club, the e-commerce and retail platform. That's become really big right now in this day and time. So they've become one of the big clubs right now. Then there are a lot of social initiatives, whether you're into art, you're into dance, you're into music, whether you're into, say, net impact, you want to give back to the society, whatever it is, there is a club for it. There's a club, there is a special interest group, like Shivani mentioned earlier, even for the gaming community. So we also have a meme pig, which just floats with memes every day. So after a really hard assignment, if you want to let out some steam, you just go to the group, which will have a flood of memes, and you feel so happy that you're not alone. So these are just the clubs that I'm talking about. But other than that, you have the experiential learning program, which again counts towards 1 credit of your entire course. So this is where you do a real life project with a company. For about 4 to 5 months, depending on what the company is looking for. It could be maybe, coming up with a business strategy, a marketing plan. It could be, maybe building some product from scratch. So this time around, we had around 40 companies come in for this opportunity. Other than this, we also have something called pro bono consulting, which essentially is, again, a project, but it doesn't count towards your course. It's a really good experience project because you'll be working with mostly non-profit organizations, again, for similar things. It could be a consulting case, it could be a marketing case. Oh God, there's so many. I'm just trying to recall everything, right? Then other than that, of course, you can stand for the graduate student body like Shivani did. And that's really big because a position of responsibility here, whether it's in the GSB or whether it is in the club itself, it'll give you a lot of exposure to different aspects of, you'll be exposed to all the different levers that go into running a setup like this. And that, I think, prepares you for the next step when you get into a company that will interact in a position that you'll have to interact with a lot of different levers at this juncture. Yeah.
Well, I think you have a good backup career as a marketer for business schools. I'm ready to go to ISB.
Wonderful. We'd love to have you.
That was our entire website that she just covered in the last 2 minutes.
So,
I don't think I covered all of it though. So please, Shivani, if you can think of something else to add.
I think I'll just add on one last point. That is something unique that ISB did this year, which was Jumpstart India. Yeah. So what ISB did was it basically partnered with a lot of Indian firms to help India post recovery for post COVID-19 basically. So there are a lot of students also involved in these projects that are related to agriculture or even related to the GDP, everything related to that. So a lot of students are also involved with it. So that is something that unique that ISB did this year, apart from whatever our entire website that Sushmita just mentioned.
All right. How about you, Kavya?
So, of course, B schools have clubs and they're very proud of it. So, yes, even we have our consulting club, finance club. I just don't want to get into the list of it. But something unique that I really loved at Rotman was that there are opportunities like students would be put as board of directors in not-for-profits, which is the onboard fellowship program, and they would be helping them solve a problem. Or the students would be partnering with the local small and businesses which are affected by COVID. So that was a big project that Rotman took up, and they helped in terms of consulting projects or helped in terms of solving their problems by giving them recommendations. Some other unique offerings outside of the academic courses was also the CDL, the Creative Destruction Lab, where students partner with the new emerging startups in the technology space. This is a attraction for at Rotman, because everyone is interested to know about what's the next new thing in technology or what's the next new thing in AI. So these are the offerings outside of school. Not just this, we also have the opportunity to work with University of Toronto. Rotman is a school within the University of Toronto. So whatever initiatives are available at UOFT, we all get an opportunity to be a part of it. Like I was working with the UOFT Stem Cell Club for their stem cell registration drives, or with the Junior Achievement Club, where we would mentor the juniors in the city and tell them about what are the opportunities for you, how you can work on your business skills. So I would say my learning, most of it came from these courses outside of the formal training, or these interactions that we had with the local business community, or the interactions with our clients in terms of our experiential courses, more than the formal training, because formal training is something you can learn from the books, but these are the experiences that you'll get only in a business school.
You also have a backup career. You too, Shivani. You're all great. So we just received a question from someone who says they're excited about emerging markets like India, but there's also a part of them that wants to kind of stretch themselves, explore other peoples and cultures abroad. Should they study an MBA in India or go abroad? What would you recommend? How about you, Shivani?
If it's just related to interacting with a lot of diverse people and from varied cultures, I don't think location in itself is supposed to restrict you, because MBA gives you that opportunity to interact with people from varied cultures, whether it's related to students or even the faculty. For example, in ISB, we have faculty spread all over the world. Right now, obviously, we have Zoom sessions, but in case whenever you have offline, online, it doesn't matter right now. But just in terms of cultures and diversity, any MBA program should not be restricted to just the location. It would also mean the kind of faculty you have, the kind of interactions you're having with the companies that are coming in, or any external speakers that come through the various clubs that we spoke about. So a lot of diversity comes into picture through this, and any MBA school would offer that, irrespective of the location that you're going for.
Wonderful. We have someone here. Oh, how about this? Nikhil says, I was part of Jumpstart India as an intern, and I can vouch for them. By them, I literally mean the people. People at ISB are wonderful.
That's so sweet. Thank you, Nikhil.
Thank you, Nicole.
So we now have someone who says, at ISB, when are the round one results expected? Will they come out on a rolling basis, or will they be out on December 20th only? Do either of you know?
So they will be out on a rolling basis. But I think by December, the round one results should be out. But we are rolling them out on a rolling basis this time.
Wonderful. And we have a question here for Kavya. How is the job situation? I know we talked about this a little bit, looking for Rotman graduates specifically for Indian students.
So good thing is, as I mentioned before, most of the companies are coming. It's not that because COVID, we have a reduction in the number of companies who are coming on placement. Right now, we are in the middle of recruiting season. So yes, the job situation is pretty normal. They are adapting to the new normal. Yes, of course, there are restrictions in terms of how you can take the interviews or how many people they can take based on their budgets. But in terms of recruiting, I would say there's not much difference between international students, like Indian students and other students, because I was never excluded out of an interview just because I was an Indian student. It's about, in fact, as I said, Canada looks for diversity. They look for people coming from different parts of the world, different backgrounds, and that is what keeps them going. So I would say the situation is somewhat similar for all the students together. It's mostly on focusing on what is it that you bring to the company, or what is it that you can contribute, what are the transferable skills that you have. Yes, job situations adapting to the new normal would mean maybe a lag between the job offer and the actual start date of the job, but that's typical of any company right now in any area.
One of the things that people think about is like you go get an MBA, you have an MBA from that school, but you're also part of a larger just MBA world, right? What kind of ties do you see between your school and other schools or graduates of your school? What kind of ties or relationships or interactions do they have with other MBAs? Sushmitha.
Okay, so in my plethora of options I told before, I didn't cover this. So we have something called an international exchange. So the bidding just closed this time around, where 17 of our students are tentatively planned to go to different schools like Kellogg, HEC Paris, and a lot of others, honestly. I'm just naming a few to give you an idea. So the ties with other schools have always been really strong, and that's just in terms of external opportunities. Now, even if you look at the faculty who teach us, we have a lot of lecturers or professors who are from different universities. So in fact, even the last 3 subjects that I had, half of my course was taught by somebody who was sitting in Canada, and the other half was taught by somebody who's actually sitting in the academic blog that I'm not allowed to go to. So it's really, you have a lot of exposure to different material, and in a way it's all centralized because all these schools talk to each other, and I think they're all just trying to give the best MBA experience to everybody in their network. So in terms of that, I think ISB is really strong.
Okay. What's it like at Rotman?
At Rotman also it's similar. We have an exchange program with different schools. Apart from this, there are 2 different things that I wanted to mention. One was when we work with our clubs, like the consulting club, or I'm the VP of the South Asian Business Association, we make sure that when we are calling people for our industry nights, or we are calling people to join us in terms of educating or guiding our new batch, we always make sure that we interact with the different schools and their alumni as well, because that just broadens the community. So leveraging on the clubs to broaden the community is one way that we do it at Rotman. The second thing is there are some courses that we do on a global level. For example, right now I'm working on an impact investing course with the Wharton Business School. So that is also where we get to interact with how their learning is, or what are their how they approach problems, or how they approach the consulting projects. We also have different options like the global consulting projects, where we can just take a credit and work with teams not just in North America but also in Europe or in Asia, and work with them on issues that affect the global world, or any major issue in the world. So these are the ways how we can interact with students from different schools, or we can get to share the knowledge, or not, if not just the knowledge, just get to share their experiences. So how is it different? How does this course happen differently at your college? Oh, this is not how we do it, or this is how we approach it. So that's always good to know. I'm sure I'll be connecting with Sushmitha and Shivani soon, and we'll be talking about our experiences as well.
Yeah, we do have a question here about how someone can justify their experience in a family business in their application. Any of you, Shivani, I imagine you probably have some classmates who come from family businesses?
I do. So most of the time, these kind of experiences, firstly, through your essays, these are the main components that you need to use in your application to let the applicant, the viewer, know that this is what you've done in the past and this is what you want to get out of an MBA. This is how an MBA will add value to it. Apart from that, during your interview, also you can talk to them about what you've done in the past, what your family business was about, how did it start, how did you add value to it, how is it growing, what all changes did you bring in. So these are some components. Mainly it's the essay, because rest of them it's exactly just data that you're adding to your application. But it's the essay where you can go all out and let the interviewer know that, okay, this is something that stands out, that is different from the other applicants.
Wonderful. As a follow-up to the exchange program information you all shared, somebody wants to know how many students actually have the opportunity to go on exchange.
So I can take that.
Sure.
Okay.
So this time, like I mentioned earlier, the number reduced a little bit. I think it was in a much higher number last year, obviously because movement was much more
Yeah.
freer and all the colleges were open, but all schools were open. But now, even given this situation, we have 17 confirmed people who are tentatively planning to go around March, April, June time. So it's in those 3 months where the exchange is supposed to happen. That being said, we're also tied up with a school where it has been declared that it's going to be a virtual exchange. So that has already been told upfront because the school has planned to not open throughout this year. That's a school in the US. So people have applied for that and they've taken the opportunity too. So I think it's more about at this point we're really looking for the experience of what another school has to offer a whole lot more than us actually being physically present there.
That's a very good point. And thank God for virtual communication tools, right? So Kavya, can you answer that same question?
So at Rotman, it's not, they generally don't look at the number of people, or there is no number of people restriction. They try to accommodate as many people as possible for the international program. If not one particular geography, then maybe some other geography. That's what I've gauged from talking to my colleagues who have opted to apply for the international exchange program. So that is one good thing because there are too many opportunities available as geographies are more accessible from Canada. So that is one good thing about the international program here.
Okay, so we have just a couple of minutes left. Do any of you have any last minute things you'd like to share?
I just add to it. We understand that this entire year has been something completely different, and MBA for us also is completely different what it was as compared to before. When we applied for our programs, we were comparing the MBA experience to what it was, and this is not something that we, as MBAs also as students also opted for. But everyone is adjusting to it, and this is something that whatever we're getting out of this MBA is something that will add value throughout. I think during the start of our ISB journey, we had a lot of external speakers come in, and their main point was turning crisis into opportunity. And that is something that we need to apply throughout our MBA year and post MBA also. So, what I'm assuming is post this entire year, next year when everyone is applying, things might be the same or things might change, but you need to learn to adjust to it, and that is something that MBA also offers or makes you learn. So just make sure that you understand what you're applying for, what you want throughout the year, and also do not be resistant to change.
Okay, we have 1 minute left. Do either of you have anything to add?
I can. Oh, sorry. I can.
It's okay. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I just want to add that MBA is a journey. It's not a placement agency or not a place where you follow other people. It's your personal journey. So make sure you know why you're getting into it, and throughout it, you know what are the things that you want to gain from the journey, and then you'll be able to make this decision better. Whether you want to do an MBA, which college, which geography, what location. So it's your
Wonderful.
personal journey, love it.
So just to add to that, I'm sure it's on everybody's mind. It's the pandemic. Should I really be doing an MBA right now? Is this the right time to do it? To answer that question, the answer is yes, because again, when you start your journey, you'll understand that there's something called opportunity cost, which is extremely low right now because the job scenario in whatever job you may be shaky. So it's the best time to get out there, reskill yourself, and be ready when the market comes back bouncing, because that's when you'll be equipped with all the tools to take on all these leadership roles where you can, actually perform all the changes you've been learning about in school. And it's like a real life case study, honestly, studying for an MBA in a time like this, because you really see all the concepts being applied, what happens in a weak economy, what things are the worst hit, and all that. So even in terms of that, if you take a loan out to pay for your school, the interest rates are really low during a recession. So again, it just keeps adding bonus points. And I know an MBA school is very costly, so at least that's something that was one of the major factors that I was considering. We were given an option to defer to next year, but I really didn't want to do that because I really thought this was the best time to do it. Although we have not gone to classes yet, it's still been a great experience. So don't worry about that.
Yeah. Well, thank you all. You all exemplify the best that there is in MBA students. You're adaptable and your enthusiasm is contagious. And thank you all for your time today. You've been wonderful. And I think you've just been full of insights and great recommendations for people. So have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.